March virtual user group. Today we've got a lot to cover, a lot of little minor bugs and features and fixes. So we'll get started. So we'll just go over 3 questions since last month. We'll go over a lot of little updates since we launched workflows in February. The tip of the month is around org settings and setting up categories. We'll review a best practice recommendation and how to use projects to your advantage. And just a quick review, if we have time at the end, about our TransIT education page and where to access the videos. So just 3 questions that we've had since February. There was two in relation to how to find your position logins, one specifically in a test round and then one in a script. So I'll show you where you can find your test round position logins from your testing page. And then the script side of things, we've got an enhancement log. So I'll be able to show you where that'll be accessible once it's been developed. And then we'll go into how to use a bookmark on the issues page and how to go back to your entire issue page list instead of using the remove all filters. So some of the updates from February, we've added in the ability to create module, script, and workflow categories. So if you want to know how to do that in a little bit more detail, there is a video on our education page that you can look at. In regards to scripts, we fixed a header detail where values were not pulling forward when you're copying scripts. The last updated column has actually been added into a lot of our areas now. So that'll be common across some of the other updates. We fixed an issue where a module was automatically setting the day for the last day of the script. So if you had a 5-day script, it would automatically go down to the 5th day. And then we added adding a facility to a single step. So if you clicked on a step inside your script, you would then have to do multiple clicks to fix your facility. Now you can do it fairly simple. We've added the last update column in your modules, and I'll show you how to turn that on. It's not on by default. We fixed a script issue where the total number of in-use scripts when you moved a module to a deleted project, it was not reflecting the correct number. So that's been fixed. On our homepage, we fixed an issue where test rounds were displaying more than once. And then there was just some font sizes that we needed to be consistent. So you'll see that all the font sizes are all consistent now. In regards to testing, I'll show you the summary chart. It's much like it was in TransIT 6. Very easy to use and some very helpful and useful information for everyone there. We fixed an issue where when you push the view completed and future steps on the dashboard, there was duplicate lines. There was an issue that we fixed with test note descriptions. Once it was created, you weren't able to change or update it. You can now do that. The fixed large header details, when you had your story created on the first couple of lines of your header details, it was only showing on one line. It now shows on multiple lines, so it's easier to identify and fix and update. We fixed an issue where when you're inserting, copying and inserting incremental header details, it was popping you back up into line 1, and now it doesn't do that. And then we fixed the all steps page where the scripts and days were out of order. In terms of issues, we fixed the ability, you can now move a issue to the deleted project, which will then not reflect in your stats for your issues. In general, we did a right-click change category option across the board for all of the functions of TransIT, so plans, modules, workflows, and scripts. For our Canadian friends, we streamlined the SMS or the text message notification. When you're due up for when your position is due up on a test round, you would get, if you had that notification marked in terms of your user settings, you would get a notification via text. That's only for Canada. Unfortunately, our American friends, we cannot do that for you. We also fixed the search box that was not showing the correct search results. So if you search for a certain word or a phrase, it wasn't coming up with the correct results. In terms of workflows, we fixed the browser tab description. It was showing something else. I'm not sure what it was showing, but it now shows workflows on the tab at the top. I'll show you how to right-click and change positions in workflows. Very easy to do. Instead of individually doing it, you can do it for multiple sections of your workflow. And then we fixed adding a workflow on the generate page. If you don't have a module selected or you put in a module, it now displays a description if there's no steps inside that module. So it's not just blank. And then plans had a little bit of a bug fix and some enhancements as well. So the last update column was re-added. It was originally there in TransIT 6. It's the only area in TransIT that it is actually by default showing on the plans dashboard page. We have now put completed activities are hidden by default. So when you go into your plans, if you have any completed activities, they are now hidden. So I'll show you how to remove those status filters and be able to find those completed activities. You can now sort and filter on the status column. We actually added in the ability to sort your custom columns, including checkboxes with a spelling error. Fixed copying rows from the plan maintains the totals. So there was an error where if you had completed, in progress, skipped, or any issues, those numbers were not correct. We fixed copying a plan with custom columns. Unfortunately, it wasn't copying the text. Now it does. There was an issue with deleting an attachment from an activity. You're getting an error message that is now fixed. And in terms of the task count on the plan's dashboard, it's now displaying the totals correctly even after you delete a row inside your plan. So lots and lots of little minor bug fixes and feature updates there. Once we get into TransIT, I'll be able to show you a lot of that stuff. In terms of the feature in terms of org settings, so we now have the ability to categorize modules, plans, scripts, and workflows. I'll show you once we jump into TransIT how beneficial this is. We are recommending that you build based on your support teams. So each individual client would have different support teams or needs. So you build your own categories for your own teams. The sequencing has two advantages, and I'll show you why the sequencing is really important. It can order your drop-down lists. So when you're selecting your categories, you can now order the more frequently used categories to the top, and it does order your content based on your categories. So I'll show you the advantages of sequencing and how you can automatically filter your content to make it easier to find. And then it's just a note in terms of the display order. So this is the sequence that it actually displays. So it honors the display sequence set in your org settings. Then it follows through to the category name, and then it follows into the name of the actual module, plan, script, or workflow. So I'll be able to go over that in a little bit more detail when we jump into TransIT. And then in terms of best practice, now that we have the ability to add new projects, we are recommending that if you do have a lot of templates or a lot of content that you use and copy in TransIT, instead of moving it to the deleted project, you can now create or we're recommending to create a project called Archive, where you can store all your templates for your plans, anything that you're going to use on a regular basis. And then at the end, once you've finished using it, you can then change it to mark for deletion. It would then drop off your lists. And then you would only have to untick that mark for deletion on the archive project, which would then show all your content that you're copying or your templates and things like that, rather than having it in a deleted project with all your items that you've deleted and trying to find it through there. So I'll be able to show you that as well. and then we can review the TransIT education at the end if we have time. So we'll jump into TransIT. Does anyone have any questions before we jump into all of the items for today? Awesome. Okay, so the first question was, how do I access my login information for my positions while I'm in a test round? So we'll just quickly jump into a test round. We'll go into position logins. So if we search for a position that we have set up already, you can see that Reg Clerk is already set up. The other advantage here is that you can have individual positions for different vendors as well. So we're going to look at the Cerner Reg Clerk here. So you can see the username is Reg Clerk and the password is test. If you do want to add a new position login, you can just use this add login button up here. So if we go into our test rounds, and we click into our script, and I'm just going to find the Reg Clerk for us. So you'll see here that there's two positions here, or two steps that have Reg Clerk left on them. If you hover over the actual position, you can see that it has the vendor information, your username, and your password there. And then any of the testers associated with that position underneath, so their contact information. So as long as it's set up in your org settings, it's fairly easy to see your username and password. In TransIT 6, it was actually columns, and it was taking up real estate. So now we've just streamlined it to make it a little bit easier. The enhancement will hopefully be once you go into your test scripts and it loads up and you click into any of your scripts, the same would be here. So that's the enhancement that we're waiting on, is just to have that hover information here so that you can actually see it in your scripts to make it a little bit easier. The other question that we had was using bookmarks on your issue page. So I'm actually going to create a bookmark for everyone so you can see how easy it is. So if you are looking to sort your issue list, fairly easy, you can create what we call a bookmark. So if we're looking for any active statuses, so we can click assigned and in progress. If you leave these blank, it will search all of the values in here. So for example, if I just click P1 and P2, I just wanted to know the top priorities that are in these two statuses. I could do that as well. We'll click Save View, and what you'll notice is this will now become a filtered list through this bookmark here. What else you will notice is up here, you'll see the URL has changed to a different URL. And unfortunately, there is an easy way to get back to your issue list. You just can't use this remove all filters. So if I use the remove all filters, it will still come up with the same list. What you need to do is either use the back button, or what I like to do is just hit the issue page here, and you'll see that the whole entire list will come through, 415. If I then click this, so if you see the URL up here, if I click the bookmark up the top here, the URL actually changes. So again, this won't work. You just have to click the issue icon here or the back button, and your whole list will then load up. Does anyone have any questions over those three questions that popped up throughout the week?
Is there a way to remove the bookmark?
Yep. So when you just click your bookmark here, you remove view, and then you can start your bookmark again. There is an enhancement feature listed or logged for multiple bookmarks, but if you're constantly going through and filtering the same information, you can just create your bookmark, and then when you come to your issue list, you can just click the bookmark. I use it daily, all the time, to make sure that I can just filter very quickly on the issues that I want to look at.
Is there an option? Can you create more than one bookmark?
There is an enhancement feature log for that. I would love it. At the moment, a lot of our Make team do use that bookmark to filter through, so that we can look at different issues that we're tracking. So it is logged. Fingers crossed it happens fairly soon. I'm sure that Patty will probably add in comments to that issue to say that people are actually interested in that.
And then when you had created the bookmark, other than looking at the issues that present, how do you know you're on your bookmark? Does it title that you name your bookmark something and that appeared? I missed that, I think. Oh, okay, you named it active. Never mind.
Yeah. So if we if we just typed yeah, name, and then we can click any statuses you'd like, any bookmark, and then the bookmark comes up here.
Okay.
And then you'll see that the total down here is 201. If you click your issues page, you go back, it's your unfiltered list. Click your green icon and it'll filter that list for you. And then to remove it, you just click remove. Good question. All right, so let's jump into some of the updates. So in terms of showing your last updated column on any of the workflows, modules, or scripts, it's not by default turned on. So what you need to do is go in and click your blue header, right click, go to columns, and then you want to check your update down here. And you'll see that the date comes up, and then you can actually sort on that. So you can actually see when your last updated content was. So fairly cool. Well, that was in TransIT 6, but fairly cool functionality now in TransIT 7.
Is there any, excuse me, I'm sorry. Is there any way to, with that updated column, see who did the update?
That is a logged enhancement as well. So hopefully that'll come along in the next couple of weeks for sure. Because in TransIT 6, you could see who made that last change or the last updated change. In terms of the test round summary chart, so if we go into a test round, it's fairly similar to what it was like in TransIT 6. So if we click on our summary chart, you can now see that depending on your screen width and size, it will come up as 2 or 3, but you can now see that this is a fairly similar view as what it was in TransIT 6. All of these are clickable filtered lists, so you can actually click on any of these and go into that filtered list. So if we wanted to go in and look at these two right here, it will then take us into the filtered list. And that's same for all the pie charts. Moving a issue to the deleted project is exactly the same as it is with plans, workflows, modules, and scripts. You just right click, change, and then go down to change project. And then you want to select your deleted project and hit save. It will drop off your list and it'll be moved to your deleted project. So that's the same steps for everything in TransIT now. You right click and then you change your project to mark for deletion. In terms of changing categories, it's the same process for plans, workflows, modules, and scripts. So if we go into scripts, you'll see here that there's a category list, which is based on sequencing in our org settings. So I'm just going to show you the org settings for script categories. So you can see here that the sequence that our script page honors the sequence of whatever we've set here. So if we go back and look at our scripts page, you'll see that EHR, integration, keep scrolling down, access, ambulatory. If we go across here, you've got all of our sequencing just down here. So if we wanted to change oncology, and say oncology, we wanted to show at the top of our list. So we don't have a 0 at the moment. So if I change this to a 0, and I pop back over here and I click my scripts page, you'll see that oncology pops up to the top here. So as I mentioned earlier, the sequencing here is very important and can be used to your advantage to filter through your pages. And it's the same for modules, workflows, and plans. You can sequence so that your content is displayed in a certain way. If we wanted to move that oncology back down to where we had it before, and we click your scripts page here, you'll see that it now falls back down to wherever the sequence number is. Does anyone have any questions on that?
I'm sorry, I got pulled away for a second. How do you get to the sequencing thing? Where do you go?
Yeah, so you just click on the little org setting building icon here. And then each of the plans, workflows, modules, and scripts have their own category, org setting category. So you've got your module category here, your plan category, your script category here, and then the workflow category is just down the bottom. I click script category.
Gotcha.
And then these are all our pre-built ones that we have in our organization. And these are based on our supporting teams or your supporting teams. And then you want to make sure that these sequencing is the way you want it. And then it displays based on the sequencing from the top here down.
Thank you.
No problem.
So Sherry, that's basically to get away from the need to renumber scripts and things all the time. So in our example here, what I've done is I've had the integration test scripts file at the top, and then everything else is alphabetically by team. And so I think people, get their integration test scripts intermingled with other things and can't find them. So this we thought was a better solution than the renumbering of scripts all the time.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then changing positions in workflows, very easy to do now. So originally, when we first launched workflows last month, you would have to click here and then change the position. Now you can select as many rows as you'd like. You just right click and hit this change position just here. And then we can pick whichever position we would like, and it now updates. So instead of individually having to go through, you can now change positions on a mass scale, which makes it a little bit easier to edit those positions. The last update column on the plans page is now by default. As I mentioned earlier, this is the only area of TransIT that this is turned on by default. So you can see here, filtered by your updated, filtered by your date of last updated as well. And then a couple other things for plans. So I'll show you the completed activities. So if we pick this one here, it has 7 completed activities. So if we click into this plan here, you'll see that when we scroll across here, that there's no steps or activities here that are completed. The way you would need to show them and make them visible is by clicking this little funnel icon on the status column and just removing all of your filters that are on by default. And then you'll see here, there's your 7 completed activities for your plan. So when you go into the plan, they won't show. All those completed activities are hidden by default. That was the same in TransIT 6 as well. And then in terms of sorting, you can actually sort on multiple columns. So we've now added in a status filter that you can filter and sort. So if you wanted to change the sort so that you see all the dependencies first, adding in that you just want to see any failed or skipped, any with issues. Just show the completed, and then you can actually sort on those ones as well. And then the last little cool thing in terms of plans, if we're looking at custom columns, and specifically in terms of the check boxes, you can now sort on these check boxes to see how they're all out of order. If you wanted to see which ones were actually finished, you can sort on those ones and they will come straight to the top. So you can see here, let's say this was task 1, you wanted to go to task 2, you can see all the items that were finished for task 1 and what's outstanding for task 2, and then vice versa. You can keep going through and filtering on all of these rather than having to scroll through the whole plan and cross-referencing which ones you wanted to look at. If we wanted to sort on the second column here and see which ones were marked done, we can do that as well. And same with this column as well. So we can see which ones are all marked done. So just another cool little functionality in terms of sorting on your custom columns. Specifically, I just showed you the example for checkboxes. In terms of best practice, we're going to set up a live, and I know we've only got a couple of minutes left, but I'm going to set up a archive folder for everyone. So you'll see just here. Now, if there's any plans that you have, say, templates that you are constantly copying or you're using as a template that you then progress onto a different, or you want to add onto those templates, you can now just right-click, change project, and go across and select your archive. And then that will change the project to archive. So you'll be able to sort on that project here. Much like you can for everything else in terms of the projects in this column here. And then if you're done with those templates, all you need to do is go back across to your org settings and projects, and you'll checkbox this mark for deletion, and it will drop off from your list. And then next time you want to then use a template, you can just come back in here and uncheck this one here, and it will then pop up in your content to see. Rather than using this deleted, you might have a lot of junk that you have deleted and moved to the deleted project that you don't want to sift through. So this is just our best practice recommendation for this month. So we've got a couple of minutes. Does anyone have any questions? Anything they need to go over? Any issues they're having? Great. If not, we'll leave it just 1 minute early and everyone enjoy their weekend.